When we cycle through this area, we feel a lot safer, don't we? And a lot more confident because there's much less traffic now the low traffic neighbourhood is here.
My message is absolutely prioritise your walking, wheeling environment investment in order then people have the choice to get out of the door and then potentially think about cycling. So it's footways first, cycling environment second, and hopefully give more people the choice not to drive.
The Low Traffic Neighbourhood programme is a key part of our transport strategy to get people cycling and walking and being more healthier in general. The Oval LTN is one of 5 that we delivered throughout the last 3 years. They were initially delivered on a trial basis to try and get a feeling of how people were using the space. Were people cycling more? Were people walking more? Were businesses doing better? Was there more space for people to dwell and spend time outside? So we carried out some extensive monitoring. And in January 2022, we made this LTN permanent. And since then, we've been looking at how we can make this space a much better space permanently, which is why we wanted to work with someone like Sustrans, who shares our vision for a much more equitable way to design our cities.
So what we try to do on a scheme like this is actually extrapolate the size of it and frame the entire junction. Instead of just having the diagonal filter that goes across here that allows cyclists through, we actually framed the whole junction, and then we put tree pits on all 4 corners, which actually frames the whole thing. So if you're entering the space as a pedestrian, as a cyclist, or even in a vehicle, you know you're in a new environment that is not vehicle dominated, and it puts the pedestrian first, even down to the materials that are used, the greening. We've introduced seating into the space because we want to put people back in the heart of the streets. And this is one of the first LTNs that have been put in, and it's been a dramatic change in the way that the space is used. Now with planting that have just recently been planted up, seating, different types of seating, and cycle parking at the other end, you now have a really big space that's quite enjoyable, usable. Even though the material itself is not blacktop, so it's something that's a little bit more different, takes away from the character of what is traditionally a road, and now it's a lot more enjoyable, pleasant, and also quiet. As the trial was a point closure, so at the other end of the street we had the 2 planter boxes, but that prohibited vehicles, but the rest of the street was all parking, and it was actually quite not usable for people, and you could still cycle through, but there wasn't the opportunity to stay, sit, relax.
We've got a real good opportunity here to make it into a space that completely reprioritises it to more sustainable modes of transport, and more importantly, it helps us with our climate action plan, because SUDS greening is a real key part of our fight to deal with our climate emergency.
So the Railton Road LTN's made a really big difference to me. I never used to cycle around here, even though it's my best route to work, because it was full of cars cutting away from the high street traffic, and it was two lanes of waiting traffic. There was no way I could have filtered alongside. If it wasn't tailing back, it was super fast, so very intimidating or very polluted. So now, instead of being one of those drivers in that traffic, I am able to cycle every day I go to work, and I'm able to get the benefit of cycling. My bike is my mobility aid, and it gets me to work, and by then I've done my exercise for the day, and same in return in the evening. It really has changed my life dramatically.
This was a really congested area with a lot of traffic coming between Herne Hill and Brixton, and we wouldn't have felt safe cycling through it. And then since the low traffic neighbourhoods come, we feel much safer, don't we, Frank? Cycling through this area to get to the basketball club, visit his granddad's. It's much more pleasant. There's obviously less traffic. There's lots of other cyclists and walkers and people in wheelchairs and skateboards. So it just feels a lot better, a lot more positive and safer experience to come through this neighbourhood.
We are in Railton Road in a low traffic neighbourhood. It was one of the first low traffic neighbourhoods in Lambeth, which came about as a result of the engineering expertise from Sustrans and the political will from Lambeth. And I'm really proud to be standing here in this LTN because, as you can see, it's lovely and quiet and peaceful. There are people cycling, there are people scooting. There's very low congestion here, and that's exactly how we want it to be.
So we're also providing a build-up to the south of the scheme, and the aim of this is to narrow the carriageway again and kind of create that more meandering route for buses. And the other thing we're doing is extending the raised section all the way down to the end of the scheme beyond the park, and this should make it much easier to cross for people with pushchairs or wheelchairs or any other mobility aids. There'll be sets on the carriageway to kind of try and change the priority of the space and kind of the atmosphere to kind of make it priority for people walking, wheeling and cycling.
So here in Brixton, we're very fortunate to have a town centre that's a global leader in many aspects. So obviously the food, the drink, the entertainments, the history, the activism. But one thing that we're trying to really push as business owners in Brixton, and also people who live here, is that Brixton can also challenge the way our town centres work and what that means in sustainability, what that means in air quality, what that means in transport, in how we access, in how people really get the benefits of what Brixton is.
We're trying to achieve safer neighbourhoods, places where people want to spend time with their neighbours, get to know their local area, make it safe for children to go to and come back from school, encourage people to cycle, take on active travel. We know it's good for our mental health, our physical health, and it's good for public health.